Could Donald Trump go to prison? Donald Trump is the only president in history to be indicted on criminal charges. Not only has he been indicted once, but sources say he has been indicted for a second time. And now Americans want to know if their former leader could end up behind bars. On March 30, 2023, Trump was indicted by a Manhattan grand jury for his alleged role in a hush money scandal involving porn actress Stormy Daniels. He later pleaded not guilty on April 4 to 34 for felony charges, according to Politico. Trump has continuously denied having any role in the alleged scandal, but his legal woes did not stop there. Just 2 months later, on June 8, he was indicted again, this time in Florida, on federal charges connected to his handling of classified documents, according to ABC News. We're learning from our sources that there appears to be at least 7 counts here, ABC News' Catherine Falder said. This ranges from everything from the willful retention of national defense information to conspiracy to a scheme to conceal to false statements and representations. Trump later took to social media to deny any wrongdoing again, claiming that the case is a hoax. If convicted on all 34 counts of the first indictment, he could face up to 136 years in state prison. However, several legal experts say that it's highly unlikely. I can't say for absolute 100% certainty there can't be jail because on the books, he can go to jail, defense attorney Arthur Adela told Insider, but he added, I do not see a scenario where Donald Trump spends 1 minute in jail. More information on the number of years Trump is facing on the second indictment will be released after charges are announced. What charges is Donald Trump facing? On the first indictment, Trump is facing 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree, a Class E felony, according to the press release from the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. He is accused of falsifying the records in New York to conceal damaging information and unlawful activity from American voters before and after the 2016 election, the press release states. The people of the state of New York allege that Donald J. Trump repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal crimes that hid damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin L. Bragg, Jr. said. Manhattan is home to the country's most significant business market. We cannot allow New York businesses to manipulate their records to cover up criminal conduct. As the statement of facts describes, the trail of money and lies exposes a pattern that the people allege violates one of New York's basic and fundamental business laws. As this office has done time and time again, we today uphold our solemn responsibility to ensure that everyone stands equal before the law, Bragg continued. During the arraignment, Trump was quiet, but just hours later he made his first remarks in a campaign-style speech. I never thought anything like this could happen in America, Trump said at his Lego resort via KBS News. Never thought it could happen. The only crime that I've committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. He went on to claim that the indictment was an attack from the Democrats, saying that his opponents have really stepped up their efforts by indicting the 45th president of the United States. With all of this being said, and with a very dark cloud over our beloved country, I have no doubt, nevertheless, that we will make America great again, Trump concluded. When is Donald Trump's trial? Trump's trial on the first indictment is set to begin on March 25, 2024. A trial date for the second indictment is expected to be announced at a later date. He's scheduled to be arraigned on the second indictment in a Miami court on June 13, 2023. Donald Trump indictment updates. Ron DeSantis breaks silence on ex-president's charges as Miami court date approaches. Ron DeSantis has spoken out after former President Donald Trump announced that he's been indicted on charges of mishandling classified documents. The Florida governor took to Twitter to slam the indictment as a mortal threat to a free society. We have for years witnessed an uneven application of the law depending upon political affiliation, the statement reads. Why so zealous in pursuing Trump yet so passive about Hillary or Hunter? The DeSantis administration will bring accountability to the DOJ, excise political bias and end weaponization once and for all. Trump allegedly brought the documents to his home in Florida without proper authorization and will face the charges at a federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday, according to his latest post on Truth Social. The indictment comes after Trump announced he's running for president again in 2024, meaning he'll be facing off against DeSantis. Donald Trump indicted for allegedly mishandling classified documents seized at Mar-a-Lago. Live updates. The federal charges come amid wide-ranging legal challenges for Trump as he campaigns for president, including New York criminal charges and a $5 million judgment in a civil case. Former President Donald Trump was indicted Thursday by a federal grand jury on charges related to the hundreds of classified documents seized from his Florida estate, Mar-a-Lago, an unprecedented step in the wide-ranging investigations that include his previous indictment in New York. More than 300 classified documents were recovered more than a year after Trump left the White House, most under subpoena in June 2022 or during an FBI search in August 2022. Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith has been investigating the potential mishandling of national defense records. Trump was indicted on 7 charges, according to a person who has been briefed on the case. Trump confirmed the indictment in a statement and protested his innocence in a post on Truth Social. He said that he was summoned to appear Tuesday at the federal courthouse in Miami at 3 p.m. The corrupt Biden administration has informed my attorneys that I have been indicted, Trump said in the statement, contrasting his treatment to the discovery of classified documents at President Joe Biden's former office and home. I am an innocent man, Trump added. Trump said that the Biden administration had informed his attorneys that I have been indicted, seemingly over the boxes hoax. He then complained about Biden's own possession of classified documents, which is the subject of another investigation. A Justice Department spokesperson declined comment on Trump's announcement. Legal experts have argued charges alleging the mishandling of classified documents could be the most straightforward case against Trump because the records were seized at Mar-a-Lago. But Trump has argued repeatedly that he could take records with him after leaving the White House, despite the Presidential Records Act giving ownership to the National Archives and Records Administration, and that he had declassified them despite the lack of documentation for his assertion. I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them, Trump said at a recent Ken town hall. Allies, adversaries weigh in with opinions. A wave of Trump aides and allies took to social media, email, and television networks to condemn the indictment. One of Trump's lawyers, Alina Habba, told Fox News that Trump would be vindicated and attacked the Justice Department for selective prosecution and selective persecution. She called the case Russia Third World stuff. Caroline Leavitt, a spokesperson for Make America Great Again, Inc., said the case reflected a two-tiered justice system in America that must be confronted and destroyed. The Biden regime, which is realizing they can't beat or cheat their way to another victory, has taken the unprecedented step to indict President Trump, Leavitt said. This will be done when we re-elect President Donald J. Trump in 2024. Trump in 2024. Trump is currently in Bedminster, New Jersey. A person familiar with the situation who was not authorized to discuss it publicly said Trump's lawyers were contacted by prosecutors shortly before he announced on his Truth Social platform that he had been indicted, according to the Associated Press. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, R. Caliph, called it a dark day for the country and threatened to fight the weaponization of the prosecution by the Biden administration. It is unconscionable for a president to indict the leading candidate opposing him, McCarthy said in a tweet. Joe Biden kept classified documents for decades. I and every American who believes in the rule of law stand with President Trump against this grave injustice. House Republicans will hold this brazen weaponization of power accountable. Others echoed the same sentiment. It's a sad day for America, said Rep. Jim Jordan, R. Ohio, a staunch defender of Trump during his impeachments and chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Barb McQuaid, a former federal prosecutor who teaches law at the University of Michigan, said prosecutors probably picked Florida as a venue because the bulk of the alleged activity took place there. If the charges include willful retention of classified or national defense documents, obstruction of justice, or unauthorized disclosure, then that activity likely occurred in Florida, she said. Political rivals also began to weigh in. Former Arkansas Gov. Asa Hutchinson, who is campaigning against Trump for the Republican nomination for president, called on Trump to end his campaign out of respect for the office. Hutchinson said Trump is entitled to a presumption of innocence, but that 2 indictments would be a major distraction. Donald Trump's actions, from his willful disregard for the Constitution to his disrespect for the rule of law, should not define our nation or the Republican Party, Hutchinson said. The top Democrat on the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, Rep. Jamie Raskin of Maryland, who led the second impeachment of Trump, said the indictment suggests Trump put national security at risk by pilfering and hoarding government documents. After reviewing a trove of factual evidence, the federal grand jury found probable cause to believe that former President Trump knowingly retained hundreds of presidential and classified records, deliberately defied subpoenas, obstructed law enforcement, and lied about his continuing retention of records, Raskin said. The documents and what they mean to the case. The documents at stake had labels suggesting they held some of the country's most closely guarded secrets about national defense and the identities of spies overseas. Federal officials have an audio recording from July 2020, one of Trump discussing a classified Pentagon document about a possible attack on Iran, Tian reported, citing multiple unidentified sources. Federal charges are unprecedented against a former president and add to the legal headwinds Trump faces as he campaigns again for the White House. Smith is also investigating potential election fraud from Trump's attempt to overturn the results of the 2022 election. Jean Carroll won a $5 million civil verdict against Trump for sexual abuse and defamation over an encounter at a New York department store in the 1990s. Trump has appealed. Trump faces 34 charges of falsifying business records in New York for hush payments to women who claimed to have had sex with him. He pleaded not guilty, and the trial is set for March when presidential primaries are scheduled. In Georgia, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is investigating potential election fraud because of Trump's fake electors in that state and because of his call, Jan. 2, 2021, asking State Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to find enough votes to overturn the election results.